What's up guys, my name is Your Heroes and welcome back to more Gates of Hell. And today, yes, we are reviewing the British faction. No, it is not officially out. I just want to make a full kind of disclaimer at the start. Yes, this is a mod, the Valor mod, and it is the British faction. And today I'm going to be reviewing the British faction based on what I think it would look like when it will come out. So basically it's a review of what vehicles, units, infantry units, vehicle units, all sorts of maybe artillery units as well, of what I think, you know, the British faction will include when it comes out into the actual game itself. So this is not an official British review, it's what I think units, British units will come out when the faction actually does come out. So hopefully that disclaimer is now out there. It's not the actual faction, so in case anybody starts ballistic in the comments saying, oh, you know, it's not the actual British faction, you're actually wrong. I know that, it's just what I think British units will come into the game, if that makes sense, when it comes out. Hopefully that makes a whole sense. And yes, also you can tell it's not actually the British faction because of kind of like the models of themselves. They've been taken from, especially like you can tell from the Comet, you can tell that this is taken from or imported from Men of War Assault Squad 2. You can tell by the model of the tank, it's quite old and not very updated or modeled very well, so you can tell that. So I do know this, I'm not completely blind in that fact. So yes, but this is just kind of a review of what I think what vehicles and units will come out to the game. First of all, let's start off with the, well, why not we kind of start with this tank, so why don't we go for it, is the A34 Comet. I think this is a very reliable, very good tank. I think this will be probably one of the main, maybe heavy medium tanks that will come into the game as a unit. I think because it did come in to the game with the British faction in Men of War Assault Squad 2 at the very start, I think it will also come into the game at the very start as well. It is quite an unusual tank, because I do think there maybe will be other tanks before this, but I do think this will probably one of the other maybe heavier medium tanks that will come into the game, maybe as a special unit, possibly, but I'm not 100% sure, because currently right now this tank is classed as kind of one of the normal kind of tanks that, as you can see, within this range. Now there is other different types of comets in the game, alright, sorry, Cromwell, sorry, which we'll get into in a second. So yes, that's what I meant, is the Comet is, I think, is a very good tank, very sturdy tank, very fast, maneuverable, good punchy gun, and 77mm to be exact, and I think this is going to be an awesome tank. So let me know what your thoughts are on that. Next is, I think, is actually we've kind of seen a clue in the development diary 153. I think one of the thumbnails included this vehicle here, which is called the AEC Mark II. Now there is an AEC Mark III, which I think was in that thumbnail, development 153, but I think this will be one of two main of the AECs. So there's a Mark II and the Mark III, which is currently in this Valor mod. Now the Mark II is part of the all-round doctrine, whereas a Mark III I think is a defensive doctrine. So in that case, I will show you, maybe put a picture or show you in another video what the Mark III looks like. But I do think that this is another vehicle that will come out to the game as definitely as a starter kind of armored tank, because as you know, the Russian, the Soviets, the Germans and the Americans all have their kind of their armored cars, you know, from, you know, when you are battling, you know, it does come out as a special unit. But I think this will come out as possibly like a light armored vehicle, which will just be its regular part of the game. So I think with this thing, it has really no armor, but it does have, again, quite a punchy gun, a 57mm, which will be good against kind of your other lightly armored vehicles such as the Panzer II, the Panzer I, or even the BA-11s if you want to do a non-historic battle against the Soviets. So yeah, I think this is actually quite a very nice tank. Again, very maneuverable. It does have tires. It's not like tracks where you can, you know, track, you know, this, you know, if you're up against a Comet, then you can track it. But I don't know how this will work because it has wheels. But I do know in other armor, I do know like other I do know other factions do have armored cars that I do have wheels, but I don't actually know how the mechanic works for losing wheels in this game, so you're gonna have to let me know. But yes, the AEC Mark II is definitely a winner for me. Let me know what your thoughts are on that. Next one is the A15 Crusaders. Now there is a lot of Crusaders in this game, I know, but I think one of the main ones will be the A15 Crusader, and I believe the other one will be, if I can find it, is actually it's not in here, but I think there is going to be other, I think the Crusader Mark 5 and the Mark 4 if there is one, or I could just be completely just naming that off the top of my head for no reason. But yeah, A15 is an AA, so it's more of like an anti-aircraft type of tank, but it can deal with infantry very quickly, kind of like most AA armoured vehicles, as well as lightly armoured vehicles such as, you know, your, again, the ones that I mentioned, the Panzer 1s, the Panzer 2s, or even the Soviets with their, I'm trying to think of lightly armoured Soviet vehicles like the T-70, possibly, or the T-60, that'll be another vehicle. But the good thing is with this Crusader, it actually has the hull, like I said, of the Crusader, so it's slightly more armoured than your normal kind of lightly armoured tanks, so it does have that chassis of the Crusader, but it does have, the turret is very, very weak, which means that it is, you can see it's kind of flat on with very little armour, but it has two 20mm or Orlikin, which is, again, I don't know if these guns will be actually true based on what you see here, because, you know, everything is subject to change as a real faction will come out hopefully relatively soon. But yes, this is another vehicle I do think that will be out very, very soon with the faction, and it will be released as kind of like a main vehicle as you see here on this list. So yes, the Mark 15, let me know what your thoughts are on that. The next one is the Firefly, the Sherman 5 Firefly. Now, actually, I think this might be not on their list, but it could be. I think I still put it in because it's still quite a unique vehicle, because as you know, the Sherman 5 Firefly, well, as it says in its name, it's based on the American Sherman, but it's just with a 76mm gun, the British 76mm instead of the American one. I know there is a difference, don't worry. I don't know my guns 100%, but just cam it in the comments with your with my gun knowledge. I know I'm not brown with my gun knowledge, I will admit that, but I know there is a damn difference between the two. Alright, just give me that at least. And of course with the 50 cal up top, which I think is American or something like that, I don't know. I could be again talking about my arse, which I usually do. But yes, this is what I think of the Sherman Firefly. Quite an unusual tank, but I don't think it might come into the game, but I'm not 100% sure, but I thought I still add in because it is still quite unique. Another vehicle which, if we go all the way over to the right here, which I do think will be added to the game, is the Achilles. Now this is based on the Wolverine American tank destroyer, but it's just called the Achilles with a 17-pounder, which the British have put on, and it is, again, you're very similar to your Wolverine, but it's just, I think, exactly same shape, same turret, but it's just with a different gun. And again, I do think this will be added in because the the Wolverine is in the game, I think, or is it the Achilles? Wait, I'm getting confused between the Slugger, I think it is, that's in the game, which is kind of like a bigger version of the Wolverine. But I do think the Wolverine's in the game, although I'm not sure for the Americans. Somebody's gonna have to let me know in the comments about that. But yes, I think this tank will just be in the game just because I think the Wolverine or the Slugger is, which is a bigger version of Wolverine, is in the game for the Americans. So I do think the Achilles will be added in with the 17-pounder and all that, which I still think is an absolute brilliant tank. Okay, going over to the far left now, one of probably the most popular tanks in the game for the British is the Cromwell. Now this is actually the Cromwell Mark 1. I know there is different Cromwells. You have the Cromwell Mark 4, you have the Cromwell Mark 6, you have other sorts of Cromwells that will be in the game, but for this case I've just thought I brought out the Cromwell Mark 1 because I do know, I feel like Gates of Hell Barber Studios will bring out different versions of the Cromwell, as well as probably the Crusader as well, but I think the Cromwell is probably most popular tank within the British faction, as I think it's just got great mobility with a punchy gun and has a chassis again of it's slightly different to your Crusader, but it just because it's got that famous chassis of the Cromwell. I think it is fast maneuverable, doesn't have any really good armor, but it can bounce probably your lightly armored vehicles. But other than that, I think that will probably just be about it. But this thing does carry, the Mark 1 does carry a 57mm, but I believe the other guns like the Mark 6 I believe carries a howitzer just from the picture, whereas the Mark 4 possibly carries a 75. I know I'm probably going to get yelled at the comments for that, but who knows, I kind of forgot. But yeah, this is probably one of the most famous popular tanks, and I think it is definitely going to be an addition into the game. And lastly, when it comes to heavy tanks, as we all know, for what the British is known for is the Churchills, named after the famous Prime Minister Winston Churchill. Yes, there is. This is the Mark 6. Or sorry, I don't know my Roman numerals. It's Mark 7 with a 50-75mm gun. This is probably one of the more armoured Churchills. Now I believe there are other ones, so you can see here that there's a Mark 7 on this, and when you go into the special you have the Crocodile, which is a flamethrower Churchill, and then you have the Mark 9, which I think is actually, if you look at it, I believe it is just well, you can see it is actually kind of the same, but I believe with a 303 British kind of machine gun at the top, I think, which this one, yeah, well, this one doesn't carry that. So this one doesn't carry a massive machine gun at the top, whereas the Mark 9 does actually have that machine gun commander at the top as well. So it is very different. As you can see, one does carry 50. I think actually they both carry 57mm. I don't think the guns ever changed to get from the Crocodile. And I believe there was a Churchill that did have a howitzer on it, which was completely OP, but I don't know the name for that. I forgot. If someone could let me know in the comments down below for that. But yeah, and then of course you got the Crocodile, which is basically your normal kind of Churchill with 75, but also have a flamethrower instead of a machine gun port, which is very, very cool. So yes, that is your Churchills. One of the main additions I think will be added to the heavy tank line, as which will be in the main kind of section here. But your different options for Churchill will be pretty much limitless, I think, with the amount of options you get with it. But who knows? I think these will be the starting vehicles, vehicle units that will be in the game. Let me know what your thoughts are down below on that. Now moving on to the units. Now I have several units here. So I have I believe these are the 1st Para Battalion SMG. You also have the Commando Riflemen. You have over to your right here is a Para Rifleman, which are different, I think. You got the SAS, and then of course you have your singular units here being your ammo crates. And I'm basing off what is most popular by demand. You know, when you play a game, what is the most popular kind of single unit that you would bring out. So ones that I've put in is of course the ammo crate, some AT infantry, and just as well just with that one as well, medic, of course, having that. A tank commander, or sorry, your tank crew, which are all lined up, these 4 guys right here, as well as you could possibly, I do see a lot of people getting mortars as well, which do actually look like that. But I believe this mortar, I don't believe the mortar will actually look like this, you know, handheld. I believe the British will use kind of like the normal mortars that you do see with other factions like the Soviets, you know, proper, where the 2 guys are carrying the large mortar. So I don't think, even though this would be quite a cool addition, because it is, the way he has to kind of hold this mortar is lying down. So yeah, it is quite a cool wee addition to this kind of British side, but I don't think it will be added as a singular mortar, but you never know, it could be. But yes, of course you have your I'm sort of kind of the singular infantrymen, or the single detachments here. You've got your regular kind of crew crate here, which are based on 2 British men kind of carrying with their 2 riflemen. And you have your sniper, sorry, which I forgot to say, which does actually, if you're going to bring him out here just a wee bit, so if you can even just see him, you can see here that he is actually quite cool. Got the kind of British camo, or I think, I'm not sure, again, this is definitely going to be an updated model. It is quite outdated from Men of Royal Squad 2, so let me know if that is the British camo, the British uniform, but it does look feel it does look pretty accurate, but I'm not 100% sure. If anybody has knowledge on that, then please do let me know on that in the comments down below. With the next ones being with the AT squad along here, one of them carrying the main AT rifle, which is the Boyce 55 Mark 1. Now that does sound quite British, but I'm not 100% sure. If anybody actually knows their British guns from World War II, then please again let me know. I'm not great on my gun knowledge, but it does look and feel pretty accurate to what it is, as well as the uniform as well. It does look very British as well on that case. So yes, I know it's not matching the environment, but I'm just basing it off what I see right here. The next one I'm going off is the medic. This guy is just, well, he carries a medic. The only thing I don't see about this is he doesn't have like a medic sign on like his shoulders, whereas I think the other factions do have that. I think, although I'm not 100% sure. I don't know if this is like, you can see on his shoulder, I don't know if that's like a medic sign. If anybody knows about their kind of their badges of World War II British soldiers, then please let me know as well, because I'm not 100% sure in that case. But if this is kind of sort of the British sign, it looks like more Japanese and more British, but I don't know. I probably just offended a bunch of British people there. But he does actually look quite British even in his face as well. Just kind of that British look, you know, very white, very pale, you know, no suntan, you know, completely white from everybody else when he goes to Spain or something. You know, the casual British people, if British people know what I'm talking about. And of course, last but not least, you have your tank crew, which again are all seemingly just white men who are just very not tanned at all, haven't put any factor 30 on. Or 50 on, if you know what I mean, for those British peoples. But yes, the crew are looking, actually I feel like this, again, the uniforms are quite accurate, but I mean, what do I know? I'm not a huge British historian knowledge on uniforms as well. So again, let me know what your thoughts are down below with these uniforms, and do you actually like these, the way that they're kind of all laid out? Do you like the uniforms? Do you like the guns that the British soldiers hold? Do you like the uniforms? Let me know in the comments down below. So that is all the units that I think will definitely be brought out when the faction does come out. And lastly, I just want to go on to the main units themselves. Now, I don't have any artillery out because this video would go on for ages if I did, because I'm already at 17 minutes. But yes, I've brought out also the regular riflemen here, as well as these guys at the front, which are again regular riflemen. I wish we would actually name them what they are, because these two groups are completely different. But I think these are light infantry and regular infantry. Yeah, so you got the light infantry here, which is kind of just based on light infantry. So you kind of got you guys with your standard Lee Enfield. I'm pretty sure, did the British not have their own type of rifles, like British rifles, not American rifles? Because the Lee Enfield, isn't that American? Or all of your like palm facing right now saying no, that's actually British or something. I don't effing know, alright? All you kind of nerds who know about that stuff, let me know. But yes, this is kind of these two definitely troops are the ones that I definitely think will be brought out to the British faction straight away with these. With this, I know it will be slightly different, possibly because it is this faction is just based on a mod, remember, not the actual real faction themselves. This is not what Gatesville did bring out. So, but I do think these two units, there will be a light and regular infantry squad on that, and then kind of going further down, you're kind of going on to the first para, which are the 1st Battalion Special Forces, which I think, right? Or is this a para? I don't know. I wish the names would be better on this. This is para SMG or paratroopers. These are paratroopers here, which are looking actually quite sick. They're quite heavily armored. You can see their uniforms are quite heavily laid out. They look completely out of fashion, but on that, I think they actually look quite sick. And I think these guys actually have, again, there should be some sort of replacement name or some sort of you know, similar ability to what this paratrooper squads will hold. But I definitely believe there will be paratroopers in the game for the British, as well as going on to here, which is the 1st para battalion, which are I don't know what the first, it's called the 1st Battalion Special Forces, which these guys look absolutely insane. Look at them. I think these guys look absolutely sick with their, I don't know what guns they're carrying. I believe it is These guys are carrying some Lee Enfields as well. Some of them are carrying the STEM Mark II, as well as, I believe this guy, you get a Bren, which is a light machine gun. And of course, you guys, I don't know why you're telling the guns, because you guys probably already know all these guns off by heart by now. You're like, Zero, why are you wasting my time? I don't know. I'm just telling you what I see. But I think these is another squad that I think will be brought out to the faction, which will be absolutely sick. Then going on to your more advanced units, you know, your more tougher units, which I think will be more expensive, but will definitely be worth it towards the end of the battle. And these guys are your commandos. Now these, I believe, I got from here, but they're also in the special units right here, so you can either get them from your main section or your special. What do I think it'll be brought out as? I think it'll be probably brought out as a regular one, just regular section here, because I do think it is one of your heavier units. So you get your kind of your light infantry, which are cheaper but not as good, and then you get to your heavier infantry, which are actually really good but more expensive as you go along. You can see that even just the price range from here is the commandos are 330 manpower compared to light infantry just being 96. So you can see the absolute difference, but you can see the guns as well. This guy is carrying the Lewis gun, which I definitely know is British. All right, leave me alone in that. This guy is carrying, I believe, it looks like, actually this one looks possibly guided, but I don't know if they didn't really have guided missiles back then, did they? Definitely not. This thing is the Piat Mark 1. That's what it's called. I actually recognize that. The Piat is actually does look quite OP, and it does look like it could take out your lightly armored vehicles, as well as even some Panzer 3s or Panzer 4s, because it does have those heat rounds which don't lose any penetration over distance, which is absolutely brilliant. And because of that trajectory, it looks like it does shoot quite far as well, so absolutely brilliant. And yeah, so that is another squad that I do think will be absolutely excellent in the battlefield, but are expensive as hell. So, and I believe that is, yeah, that is all of the units that I wanted to cover. So yes, there you go, guys. That is it for the British faction. That is some of, but mostly all the units that I think that will be brought into the British faction when it comes out. But there you go, guys, that's it for today. I hope you did enjoy this video. If you did, make sure you leave a like. If you want to see more videos like this where I give my honest review and opinions of what units you think will be coming out to the game, then let me know in the comments down below. But yes, as well as let me know what your thoughts are, and do you think I'm right or wrong on these units, or do you think that there's going to be other British units or soldiers or vehicles that I have missed that you want to see in the game. But other than that, guys, that is it. Thank you so much for watching and our support, and I will see you in the next video. See you later, and goodbye.